Welcome everybody to a real serious talk. This guy that you're seeing to the, I don't know if it's left or right or where you're at, where you're viewing it, but this guy that I'm about to introduce to you has gained 35 miles per hour since he started working with me. We just looked at the data. So, Jaylan, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
All right, my name is Jaylan Yates. I go to Decatur Central High School. I'm a 2025 graduate, so I'm a junior this year, and I'm looking forward to doing this with you.
Awesome. So Jaylan's a righty, so he's not quite my favorite because me being a lefty, all that, but he's one of the original guys that I wouldn't say started working with me when I started doing this, but he's just been with me a long time. So I was excited to bring him on for a little bit different take than some of my other guys that have just worked with me in one capacity or for a year or 2 years. We were just looking back. The first time that Jaylan and I worked together was in 2017 as a young buck, and he would always walk in, try to put his chin up in the air, and oh, I'm taller than you, I'm taller than you. And now he's 4 inches taller than me. He finally surpassed me a couple years ago. And although I was speaking the truth, he did gain 35 miles per hour since working with me. But when you're 11 or 12 years old, I think it was 11 years old. No, it might have been 10 because you were on 11
I
U.
came in 11 you, so I was
Yeah,
10.
and you just turned happy belated birthday officially for everyone here. Give Jaylan some love. But I want to give you guys a little bit of a taste of what it's like with someone that's been working with me for a really long time, who has a really, really high level understanding of not only what I talk about, probably better than anyone, but also just as like a super cerebral, smart baseball guy. So the conversations that him and I have are much, much different than a lot of guys because it's quick. He's super smart. He's familiar with what I'm saying, how I'm trying to say it, and we just click on things and we like whether it's a text or a call or in person. And Jaylan has worked with me remotely. He's worked with me in person. He's worked with me in my summer program. He's done a combination of like a hybrid of all the versions. So he's really gotten all of it and he's seen the results from it. And he's averaging 4 to 5 miles per hour every single year. And we were just talking before the call how when he got more serious about his lifting component, he basically avoided that plateau that a lot of guys get. So when you jump up in height through puberty, whatever age that is, 14, 15, 16, 17, you're usually going to gain velocity, but then you'll plateau where Jaylan has not done that. And he's gotten up as high as 91 miles per hour multiple times, both in game and indoors, which is really difficult to do. So I'm excited to talk to Jaylan about it. And I want to touch on a little bit and get Jaylan your perspective on other coaches you've either seen working with other guys or you see online or you hear about, or the few coaches that you've worked with outside of me, just how it's a little bit different from what we do compared to what they've done.
So as I've worked with other coaches, some coaches teach me how to like keep my like take all my weight and like all my energy to the plate, and which in turns make me fall forward. As in, you teach not to go kiss the catcher is your terminology, and actually redirect all that energy back up to my arm so I can get the most outcome. So like I know like one of my coaches had me doing like towel drill and like falling forward. And I understand the idea, but like it's a good idea, but the outcome isn't what you want it to be.
Yeah. And how did you know that when he was saying, "Hey, we're going to do this"? How were you able to kind of figure out, well, this isn't quite right?
Um, just as I've been working with you so long, like I've been in the program for a very long time, and I've been working. I've actually helped like other kids in your program, like just me being a role model for those kids and teaching them, not to fall forward and stuff like that. And so with me doing that and being in the program, I've already known and been around long enough and seen what works for me and what works mostly for other people, just to not do that.
Yeah, and for those of you guys that don't know Jaylan, which is probably all of you, um, and this is something I never asked of Jaylan. He will just off to the side if we're in a small group, he'll start working with whether it's older guys or younger guys and start helping them because he just gets the whether it's my terminology or what we're trying to work with, he connects well with other guys. So Jaylan has been nothing but like a complete picture perfect role model from the standpoint of just like a good guy, a good baseball guy, but like just super high intelligence. Because like I said, the text messages and everything that we have back and forth are just they're so to the point and very quick. We don't have to like not that I beat around the bush with other people, but we try to like, okay, what are we talking about? But with Jaylen, it's just different. So tell me what has been over the years something that's stood out that we do that you feel like you've gotten a lot of benefit out of?
Um, when I first started getting to the age where you start throwing off speed, I started, every kid starts out with a changeup, just changing the speeds and all that. Well, I learned a circle changeup grip from my brother, and I used that grip, and I brought it to you, and he told me to like throw it in warm ups, like just throw it all the time, throw it nonstop, and I've been able to get max outcome out of my changeup over the years, and now it works really well.
Yeah, you have probably the best changeup I've ever coached. It's pretty fantastic. All the statistical things, all the you want to talk about a horizontal break or whatever it is, like, and you can just throw it all the time, anytime, wherever you want. It's awesome. So for those of you that are watching, have never met me before, and you don't know kind of the lay of the land with the program, the biggest three pillars that we touch on within like how we work with guys in our remote program and everything we do is based on three things. So number one, it's a health first focus. Number two, we talk about trying to find basically a whole different power source and going from basically being limb dominant to spine dominant. And then we talk about progressions. So I want to get your feedback on each of those, Jaylan. So with the health first focus, what are some of the things that we've done from a health standpoint that have stood out to you that have really helped you?
Um, we have a program every time we walk in the door, like bands and all that. And now with the introduction last this summer, actually, with using that arm care app, being able to see our numbers and get like a personalized program on like what to do after certain days and rest days and pitching stuff like that, like what to do with bands, or if you need to do like some arm exercises to strengthen some ligaments, stuff like that. So that's been the biggest part for me, and I've been lucky enough over the years not to have any arm health issues and stuff like that to be able to carry me throughout the season each and every year.
Yeah. And a perfect example of what I always preach to guys being health first focus. Like my number one goal is to keep you healthy and then all the other stuff. So when you came to me with some stuff going on, where you were talking to an athletic trainer and they were trying to keep you kind of at a certain percentage, like that was my entire focus is what is the athletic trainer saying? At what percentage can you be at? Because that's, I mean, it's just health first. What's some feedback? I mean, we've talked about a lot of things over the years and you've tracked your wellness score. We've tracked water, food, sleep, workouts, all kinds of stuff. What's something that stands out that you would encourage other guys to do as well and keep an eye on?
Definitely wellness for being able to track your food, sleep, and water. That's been a major thing, especially a couple of days before game days, making sure you're eating well, sleeping well. Your mind's right, your body's right. So just being able to feel good and know that you are good.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit about that with progressions too. And then, so the middle component, basically a new power source. Everyone's taught use your legs. A lot of people don't know what that means, and we do that as well. But the other thing too is we talk about using the spine. So in the last year or two, we have really, really gone hardcore on so many of our drills with going from a limb dominant focus to a spine dominant focus. And what that means in general is if a guy is trying to rip his head or yank his glove arm or like throw his arm back as fast as he can or kick his foot out and just all the stuff with your limbs, that's more of a limb dominant pitcher as opposed to the guys you watch on TV who they look effortless, they look smooth, and they're just using their spine and they look like an athlete. And there's a visible difference even to your grandma and grandpa who maybe don't know anything about baseball, but they can tell the difference between an amateur athlete and someone on TV. Like, oh, just something looks different. So talk to kind of everyone watching. What have you noticed is different as we've shifted our focus to really dominating the spine?
Definitely a jump in velo, you know. So I've been a guy that kind of shifted my weight forward, so my chest was kind of down, and that kind of hinders you from rotating as much as you can, like rotating through your hips and your spine. But I think about keeping my chest up, and over the years I've gotten better, and it allows me to rotate better and more comfortably. And my velo has gone up, and then there's not as much stress on your arm because you're not using your arm as much, and then stuff like that.
Yeah, and so the basic principle of the concept is let's use our legs, but then instead of using our legs and our arms to really get the last little bit of velo, we use our legs and then the other strongest part of our body, which is our trunk, our core, our spine, and then the arm just kind of comes along for the ride. So we actually have a set of drills that are called effortless velocity drills or EV drills or EV throws. And that's the greatest gift I always say that I can give to pitchers is the gift of effortless velocity, where, like you said, it's not a lot of stress on your arm because the entire rest of your body, which is the strongest part of your body, is doing so much work. So let's talk about progressions because whether it's in the summer program, whether it's when you've worked remotely or in person, and how much I script out so many, like you've got a high intent day, you got a medium, you got a rest day, you got a water bag day, like low intensity day. What has it been like to be able to see every single day exactly what you're supposed to be doing?
Um, Being able to have a plan mapped out for you, it's just being able to see what you got to do is easier than thinking about what you got to do or thinking about what you did. Being able to just track everything, have everything on paper or have it on a sheet, stuff like that, so you can look at it. But like water bag days, like those are mainly like low intent days, and so like it's more of like recovery for your arm day, but you're still gonna get your work in that day off either on the mound or off the mound. You're still gonna get some stuff done, but without being sore with your arm.
What would you say to guys that have never journaled before?
It's a whole different experience. um, as you said before, like college guys do it, and being able to start from a young age, from when being able to start from a young age, and you already doing it, you already prepared your mind and body to do it, and you can keep track of stuff that helps you throw the best you possibly can. Because you might do something and you think you're gonna remember it, but then you go in a week later and you're not throwing how you was and you don't remember what you did. And so just being able to look back in your notebook to see what you wrote down is very useful.
Yeah, 100%. And actually in the remote program, we actually include it's like 48 different journal prompts to like prompt you to answer a question. If because so many guys have never written in a journal. And I appreciate you giving credit to college guys, but I've worked with a lot of college guys who have never written in a journal. There are independent ball minor league guys, never written in a journal. There are pro ball guys. But as you get higher and higher and the caliber gets higher and higher and divisions are higher and higher in college, and you're like there are many, many more guys that are journaling or tracking or have data or have apps dedicated to their performance and their development. And to your point, like you said, like that's the type of thing you want to get started now so that you have a leg up. And then also when you're doing things like that, which I haven't reminded you, but I hope you're doing it, Jaylan. If not, when you continue to go on your tour, I've been telling guys that you're kind of on this like D1 tour right now, where whether you decide to go JUCO or a different division, like you've kind of you're putting yourself in a really good situation and having your here's mine having
I
your
got mine right
journal.
here.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! That's awesome. Having that with you, and for those of you that are watching and you guys are going to showcases and on tours and everything like that, you can bring that with you. And here's a little hack for you, a little bit of advice for those of you watching that maybe have one or want to start one, and you're on a visit, you're at a showcase. What you can do is take this to the coach, have it out taking notes when they're talking, which is already going to differentiate you and separate you from your buddies and your peers and whoever's also at the showcase. But then you can go up to the coach and say, "Hey, coach, I took a lot of notes today. And I usually write things after my bullpen. And here's the 3 things I usually touch on and talk about. What are some other things I should be looking for after each bullpen to kind of get an idea of what I should be taking some notes on? That way you're not saying, hey, coach, look, you see this? I write in a journal. Like, because a lot of you guys, if you do it, you're like, well, I don't know what to say to the coach. I'm not going to just brag about it and be like, look, coach, look what I. But if you can go up to him and say, hey, coach, I was taking some notes, or hey, coach, I'm usually, I heard you talk about command, and here's what I talk about, or here's the notes I have on that. Is there anything else I could add on there? Because coaches, we want to coach, we want to help guys out. So that coach is going to want to help you out. He's going to love that. And then he's going to see that you're the type of guy that writes in your journal, that has a journal, that knows what to even write in your journal. And you're just going to separate yourself a ton. And it happens because there was a funny story. One of the guys I was working with remotely, it's about a year ago, um, writes in a journal, has a journal, brought it with him to a showcase, and they were all sitting down, coaches were talking, and the coach mentioned, hey, one of these guys is writing in his journal, and basically called him out and told everyone there like how much better he is basically because he was writing in his journal. But that wasn't the guy I was working with. That was like a 12-year-old, and this high schooler brought his journal and forgot something to write with. So yeah, I've never told you that, Jaylan. So he wasn't able to actually write in his journal. And so he was so pumped to have it. And it was the perfect situation, except he had nothing to write with, like you forgot. So make sure if you're bringing your journal to a showcase or a tour, have a couple things, have a couple of writing utensils. Maybe your family that comes with you or whoever, have them bring something as well. So yeah, journaling is awesome. Is there any other thing, whether it's young guys your age, or even because there's some guys that are older that heck aren't even throwing as hard as you, aren't as far along, and they're wanting to get to where you're at. Is there any advice that you'd want to give them?
Just stay healthy. Continue lifting. I've been uh, I have a good program I do at the school at Decatur Central. We have a good strength coach there. I've been able to be a part of that program and be able to get stronger.
Yep, I've always talked about the 4 pillars within just the health component: the mental, the physical, the nutritional, and then the mechanical. Is there, so I mean, we talk a lot about mechanics. You and I talk about a lot about mechanics. Are there things that you feel like when you see guys, even that I'm working with, that you're trying to help out, or just in general, that they either struggle with, or like from a mechanic standpoint, something that has helped you out a lot that you don't always see guys working on, even if it's something we talked about?
Guys that don't keep their front shoulder in. I've seen it's not the most obvious thing, but the more you work on it, the more you can tell. Majority of guys do fly open and they don't even notice it. And so they yank their front shoulder out and they don't know why they're missing this way or why they're missing high, why they're missing low. Because 9 times out of 10, if you yank your front shoulder, you're either going to miss high right or low left because you ain't going to be able to get it down the middle. And those have been my 2 cues for if I'm getting my front shoulder out too early.
Yeah. And a lot of that comes from guys that they've either seen visibly or they've been taught to yank open for more velocity. Meanwhile, they don't even understand the concept of the spine dominant pitcher. And so they're trying to again use their limbs. So over the years we've been able to work on that. So that's awesome. Any other final thoughts or anything like that?
Um, Back foot.
Okay.
Um, I'm a different type of pitcher. My body's a little different. My femur is a little longer than the rest of my leg, so I can't really stay in my back leg as long. But other guys that have better anatomy than I do, tend to come out of their back foot early.
Yep, 100%. If guys have any questions to you, we already talked about this before. I got your permission. I'm gonna go ahead and put your Instagram and are you on Twitter? You're on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Instagram and Twitter below in this if you're watching this on YouTube. If you guys watching this are interested in working with me remotely, The main video on my YouTube page will have kind of how that looks, and then you can schedule and book a call with me to see if it's a good fit. If it is, we will get you into that remote program. That information will be also in the description as well for the remote option, what that looks like, that video, and then booking a call with me so that we can hop on the phone, make sure it's a good fit, and then get you started so we can put on 4 or 5 miles per hour or 30 miles per hour. But Jaylan, just one last thing, just in case something came up. Is there anything else that you want to make a note on?
Not to my knowledge right now.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being on. I appreciate everyone watching. Everyone stay healthy. And then once you're healthy, you can go out there and chuck it. So you guys have a good one.